Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lost in Your 20s podcast. My name is Skylin. I am your host for this podcast, and I am recording today with the window open, so I'm really hoping that it doesn't get too loud outside. It seems really quiet, and then there will be like a loud car that drives by or someone talking outside. So if that happens, I apologize. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but it just might. So we're rolling with the punches today, but it is a Wednesday night when I am recording. I'm a little behind on my schedule. I wanted to get a podcast up every Monday, and to be completely honest, last week was a whirlwind for me. No excuses, but it was so crazy with work, with a lot of different things going on, that I really just needed to cut one thing out so I could have at least like an hour of time to myself every day, and the podcast just happened to be it. I wasn't mentally there. I wasn't really gonna be able to give you quality content, so I decided to hold off a little bit. But whatever day you're listening to this on, I hope that life is treating you well. I hope that you're finding balance with all of the crazy, crazy things going on in the world right now. I know it's not normal. I know it's craziness, but I have found myself needing to come back at the end of every day and just really, really ground myself and kind of just check in, make sure I'm mentally okay, making sure everything is going well. And if it's not, really trying to identify what it is that is causing the negative emotions or feelings, and then working through it as best I can. It's not as easy as it sounds, but it has been super beneficial for me, especially during this time when life is just not normal. I can't just leave my house and go do something. I can't just go see a friend or go see a family whenever I want to. So it's really actually been a great time to come back to myself and really depend on myself for emotional stability and well-being. And the one thing that I found that has helped me tremendously is routine. I have always been a routine person. I remember when I was little, I would wake up every morning and write an entire schedule for myself from the second I woke up to the second I fell asleep. It would be like 8:01 a.m. to 8:04 a.m., open your eyes. 8:05 a.m. to 8:09 a.m., stare at the ceiling. 8:10 to 8:11, brush your teeth, and like so on, like crazy to the minute. I've gotten better with that. I'm not as crazy about my schedules and routines, but I do like to have kind of just like this established but free-flowing routine that I go through every day. And it really helps me ground myself and make sure I get the things done that I need to get done. And I always leave room for little extra things I want to do, or I leave time throughout the day. It's not strict, but I know that in the morning I'm going to wake up, I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to make sure my room is clean, I'm going to start the day with my bed made, I'm going to wash my face, I'm going to get dressed in an outfit that I feel good in, so I'm not just sitting around in my pajamas, because even when the pandemic is not happening, I do work fully remote, so I have had to work through that a lot. I could do a full podcast episode on working remote. It is something that I've learned is not as easy as you think it is, and it's not as fun as you think it is. I don't take it for granted though, because I love working from home. I think it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of energy, but it's hard. So routine really saves me. I mean, down to just like the times that I work out, the times that I meditate. I do meditate. I find that it really helps guide me through whatever mood I'm in. Something that I have been super strict about with myself is meditating and coming back to my practice at the end of every day, no matter if I have like the worst day in the world or if I have the greatest day in the world and I don't think I need to meditate. I still try and take at least 10 to 15 minutes to have that time solely for myself. I've actually been trying to meditate twice a day. I haven't been successful like for a week straight yet, but I'm really trying to implement it at least twice because I think it really helps mentally just slow my thoughts down. And a lot of times I feel the need to like really just slow my roll before I talk myself into like a deep, dark hole of bad thoughts. It really helps bring me out of it. And if I can feel myself spiraling, or like sometimes I'm in a meeting and I get really stressed out, I get really anxious because I am one of the youngest people at my company. So I get really anxious and nervous when I get on the phone with people because I feel like I am not fully qualified to be there. Sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I do. It really just comes back to like this confidence and this self-assuredness and knowing that I'm here for a reason and that I can talk to people who might be more knowledgeable than me, and I can learn something from them. But I can't always remind myself of that when I'm like mid-conversation and I'm trying to kind of keep up with with what the person is saying, and make sure that I can kind of talk back and have that good rapport with them. So when I do feel myself like getting nervous, like, okay, I have no idea. Sorry, a car is driving by, but I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no idea how I'm going to respond or like keep this conversation going because it's so out of my element. I kind of like come back to my breathing and it's very subtle and it's something that I can do mid-conversation without anyone noticing. I've learned it just through like various meditation videos that I've done and kind of sat through, and it is really just breathing for mindfulness and to kind of recenter your thoughts. So it's kind of a in the moment hack that I've been using of like, okay, if I feel my thoughts starting to take over or my brain starting to run crazy, I kind of just breathe, hold my breath for about like 5 seconds and then slowly exhale subtly, because if I'm on like a Zoom call with someone and they see me like going through some aggressive breathing techniques, they're going to think I'm a freak. So I try to avoid that at all costs, but meditating and breathing is something that I never thought I would be interested in. I always thought it was just for people who are very connected to themselves and to earth and to a lot of different things. And I'm slowly kind of realizing that everyone does it. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people that do it. Very high level people in my company who you would think would probably like scoff at meditation, and practice meditation daily. We just had an exercise at work where we talked about what people are doing just to kind of stay calm and what people do before this even happened. And a lot of people said meditation, and I was shocked. So I think there's just kind of this negative stigma around it. So if you do have that, I challenge you to try it. And, it might not be for everyone. The first couple of times I did it, I hated it. I could not sit upright. My back was hurting. I couldn't focus. And I was like, my mind is still going crazy. This isn't right. And then the more I did it, the better I got at it. And it really is just a personal journey. Everyone has their preference of if they like to sit, if they like to lay down. Whatever works best for you is really what your best option is going to be, because I tried different things that people said would work and they didn't work. I tried different meditation techniques. They weren't for me. And that's another thing that I'm learning, especially right now, is I am starting to do things that work really well for me. So I recently, about 8-9 months ago, took up Pilates, and I've tried it here and there. I've done yoga here and there. And I always thought I always had this negative mindset of this isn't doing anything for my body. I'm not going to get strong doing Pilates and yoga. I'm not going to get super fit the way I want to, because a lot of times on Instagram, at least for me, I see a lot of girls who are kind of fitness influencers and different things like that, lifting weights and going to the gym and doing squats with barbells. And I always thought that's the only way I can be healthy. That's the only way I can be fit. So I tried that for years. Let me tell you, literal years of my life. And I thought I was crazy and the only person who could not stick to a workout plan, who could not who didn't find joy in the gym. And I was driving myself up a wall about it, because I wanted so bad to be able to go to a gym and work out and have my fitness routine. And I hated the gym. I would step foot in the gym and be this sucks. I don't know what to do. I was so unmotivated because I didn't like the routine that I was doing. I didn't like the kind of exercise I was doing. So I would not be able to put in full effort because I just didn't care about it. And then I would just give up when I was tired because it wasn't something I was motivated over. So it never worked for me. And recently I quit my gym membership and I was like, okay, I need to find something that I truly, truly like. I really like heated workout classes. I love sweating. I love just feeling like I'm detoxing and sweating all this stuff out and then just rehydrating myself. It feels really, really good. I had done a few hot yoga classes, but yoga is not 100% my thing. I would say it's definitely more my thing than like heavy lifting and weights in the gym, but it's not fully my thing. And so I was like, I wonder if there's a hot Pilates, because I did love Pilates when I took it in college. So I looked up hot Pilates and I actually found a studio like 10 minutes from where I lived in San Diego. And I just kind of signed up on a whim without even looking at the studio. They had a really good deal going and I just fell in love with Pilates. It's a really good for my body. It's really good for my mental health and my mindset. And it's just helped me tremendously. And I have seen more results in like 2 months than I ever did in 3 years of going to the gym. I think a lot of that probably has to do with like the mind-body connection and just really loving what I'm doing. So I'm very motivated. I try very hard and it's finally something that I want to get better at. I want to excel at and practice. So it's been really good for me. I started following a lot of people who do Pilates and who teach Pilates, and it's just something that I have completely fallen in love with. It fits so well with my lifestyle. I try to get in about 2 flows a day, and I don't need to do any like long, extensive workouts. I don't do cardio really at all. Like I'll go for walks, I'll go for hikes. I've never been a cardio girl. It's so embarrassing, but I run like 0.2 miles and I have to start walking again. I'm out of breath. My stomach hurts. I'm like ready to throw up. It's just not my thing. And the second I realized like, wait, this doesn't have to be my thing. Just because it's this person's thing, just because this person says running is good doesn't mean it has to be for you. So the second I kind of gave up that thought, I started it with fitness, right? I started it with like, okay, this doesn't have to be for you. The gym doesn't have to be for you. Running doesn't have to be for you. And I found something that I loved. I loved Pilates. I was doing it at home. I was like waking up at 5 a.m., which I've never done before, to go to a Pilates class. And I just felt more motivated than ever and more in tune with myself than ever. So once I started applying that thought to other areas of my life, even down to like the way I dress, I just felt more like myself than I ever have before. Like even down to my personal style. You see the way people dress on Instagram, a lot of influencers, and there are so many different styles, especially right now. Always there are different styles, but I feel like right now the big thing that people focus on is like what my aesthetic is. And I hate that I just said that. But I was an aggressive like TikTok watcher for like 2 months straight. I had to delete the app because it was ruining my life and sucking all the time out of me. But like I would always see those like weird TikToks of like, this is my aesthetic. And then they like put all these things up and all these pictures, like some girls would be like beach aesthetic. Some girls would be like pink aesthetic. I don't know. I don't fully understand it, but I think that's the biggest thing. Like people dress to fit some kind of like pre-prescribed image. And I was kind of doing that of like, okay, if I wear this outfit, people are going to think this of me. Okay, this is the vibe I want to give off today. And it was like so uncomfortable that like, it's not even like the outfits I were wearing were like ugly or crazy or whatever, but it was just like so not me. And once I stopped like buying clothes to fit, this certain image or to reflect a certain kind of person, and I just started dressing and buying clothes that made me happy, that fit me, that I was 100% comfortable in, is when I felt more confident than ever. Same with like meditation, when I kind of just gave up the pre-prescribed thoughts I had about it, of it being like this hippy dippy thing and really indulging in it. And I'm sorry, I know it's not a hippy dippy thing. I'm sure that is like the worst stigma around it ever. And I'm sorry if that is offensive. I do not mean it. But that's just what I thought. And now I'm fully in love with meditation. It is like really beginning to transform my mind and my body, and I feel really, really in tune with myself. And the same thing, it goes for my diet and the way I'm eating. I don't want to say diet, but I mean diet as in just like kind of what kind of food I put into my body. It was like when I was very focused heavy on heavy lifting and going to the gym and doing barbell squats, those words like make me want to throw up, and they're not bad. Those things are, I want to like make a point that those kinds of workouts are really good and really beneficial, and I have seen people transform like insanely from them. And if I liked it and that worked for me, like I would 100% do it. But it's something that I've tried time and time after again. It's something that I've tried time and time again. Wow, I can't talk today. And it just hasn't worked for me. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of friends who work out like that. They're incredible. They're strong and they're beautiful. But it's just not my thing. Sadly, part of me wishes it was, but it's not. And so when I kind of got into Pilates and really focusing on my body and what it needs and what it wants, I really started focusing on the food I was putting into it. And a big thing is I've always been extremely lactose intolerant, to the point where like I could eat like 4 shreds of cheese and I look like I'm 6 months pregnant for days and days. And I used to like laugh about it and be like, I'm lactose intolerant, watch me eat all this cheese and down this bowl of ice cream, blah, blah, blah. And it left me feeling so low energy, so gross all the time, because my body was time after time again telling me, do not put this in your body. Like, stop eating this so often. You're hurting me. Something's not right here. My body doesn't digest it right. And so I was just feeling, I always had stomach aches. I always like was on the verge of throwing up. I was always having major stomach issues. And the second I cut all dairy out, I was like normal. Like my bloat went away, my energy was up. I just felt good when I would wake up in the morning. My digestion was great. So I did cut dairy out, and that was very personal to me because my body does not digest it well at all. I don't judge people who eat or drink dairy. I'm jealous of you because I love cheese. I love ice cream, full dairy ice cream. I eat the Ben & Jerry's dairy-free ice cream, which is delicious, but it does not compare to full dairy ice cream. And then I slowly started cutting meats out. I'm not like fully vegan. I still eat meat here and there. I do like the taste of it, but I really did start cutting it out and focus on putting like plants and like I'm trying to think of like the right way to say it, but like putting plants and natural grown foods into my body. So I really focused on like a lot of like lettuce and fruits and vegetables and healthy grains and nuts. And I found that fueled my body so well. Sorry, another car drove by. It fueled my body so well, and it energized it more than it has ever been energized before. My digestive system really liked it a lot. I think I've had digestive issues for longer than I actually know, because I've had stomach issues since I was a kid, and it was always just told like, oh, you have a sensitive stomach. I would wake up and like throw up in the morning. Sorry, TMI. And as I get older and start cutting foods out and start really giving my body what it wants and needs and can handle, I'm realizing like I think I've just had some weird digestive issues, but that's not confirmed. That's just like very self-diagnosed. So I could be so wrong, but it's been very beneficial for me. So my point in all of this, I'm not trying to give a health lesson or anything of the sort, is just do what's best for your body. Because I used to like look at vegans or plant-based people and be like, how the hell do you do that? You're crazy. You're insane. I wish I could do that, but there's like no way, because I love cheese. I love meat, blah, 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 blah. The things that people like me would say. And then I just kind of gave it a shot, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Like the grass is greener on the other side. Not really. For me, it was greener on the other side, but I'm just saying, you got to find what works best for you, because you are the only person who knows yourself as well as you do. I'm sorry, that was a weird, convoluted sentence, but it's true. Especially in today's day and age, it's so easy to get like caught in this information overload. There's like information being thrown at us left and right. You go on Instagram, and even I had to kind of like clean out the people I was following, because I would follow people who were like, vegans are crazy, vegans are this, and then I would follow people who were like, meat eaters are crazy, blah, and it was like just like suffocating to me, because I was like, I don't know what to believe. And I mean, those were very exaggerated. No one said that, but you get what I'm saying. So I kind of had to kind of figure out where I leaned toward and what I believed in, and kind of start following people that kind of backed those thoughts or thought similar to me. Although I do follow a lot of people that don't think similar to me, because I think that is the only way to grow and learn, by kind of surrounding yourself by people who don't have the same thoughts as you, who don't live life the same way, because they're going to challenge you to think different ways. That was a complete sidebar. But yeah, as I was saying about information overload, it's so easy to just overload your brain to the point where you don't even know what to believe, and you're almost just paralyzed. You almost just kind of stand still, because you have way too much information being thrown at you that you just can't even do anything about it. And I found myself at that point so many times in the past couple years, and I'm finally getting to a point where I feel really strong in my beliefs and in what I know is good for me, and I follow that, and I know what to listen to and kind of what to tune out. And I think a lot of that comes with age, and just kind of finding who you are and becoming more confident with yourself and your beliefs, and then really being able to stand by them. Because I will say, when I was younger, I mean younger as in like a couple years ago, especially in college, I found myself, I don't know, like I found myself like, I was able to recognize where my weaknesses were. My weaknesses were that I let people walk all over me. I would never stand up for myself. I could never stand up for anyone, let alone myself. And I would get very passive aggressive, because I couldn't say anything in the moment, because I was shy. I was afraid to be wrong, whatever it might be. And so I wouldn't say anything. But in my inside, I would be boiling over, and then I would leave the situation. I would be angry. I would cry, and it would stick with me for years. And it was so unhealthy. And in college, I kind of recognized that as a weakness. I had started going just to therapy, which I stand by 100%. I think everyone should go to therapy, whether you're like the most mentally healthy person in the world. I still think you should go to therapy. It's freaking awesome. But I started going to therapy, kind of started finding these issues, and they kind of started coming up. And then I went off to college. I went to college in a different state, so I stopped seeing my therapist for months at a time. And I had not fully gone through the like working out of all the feelings and everything that I had kind of newly discovered. So I kind of started just doing it on my own, thinking that I knew what I was doing. While it worked out in the end, and I kind of figured life out for myself, it was a messy path to get there. I, kind of realized that I was this person. I was shy. I would let people walk all over me. I couldn't stand up for myself. I was afraid of getting yelled at. I was afraid of confrontation, like terrified of confrontation. And one day I just made this decision to like not be that way anymore. And instead of trying to kind of work through the issues, see where they stemmed from, and then like kind of solving from the bottom up, I was just like, screw that girl, as in like the old me. You are now this girl. You now need to kind of handle situations in this way, do things like this. Like this was very like internal, like telling myself, like almost giving myself like a really aggressive pep talk. And I remember I just turned into this monster. In the midst of finding myself, I completely lost myself, which I think is very normal. But I turned into this monster. I went from one extreme to the other. I went from like quiet, shy, like I won't stand up for myself, like I'm just going to be nice even if you're like saying horrible things to me, to this like crazy, like ain't no one gonna F with me. Don't even come close to me, because I will confront you about something that does not even need to be confronted. I like really scared myself. I remember like going to parties and some guy would screw over my friend, or some drama would happen. Some girl would give a dirty look, and it was like Skyland, the monster, would come out, and I would fight and I would attack and I would go in. And people around me would be like, what the hell, Skyland, calm down. I was dating my boyfriend Dash at the time, still dating him now. God bless him that he stayed with me through that, especially because that was when we first started dating. We look back on it now and we laugh, but I was crazy. I would confront anyone about like the tiniest little thing. You could look at me wrong and I would probably be in your face. And that's just so not me. That's never been me. And after about like that year of being this like person, I kind of started coming back to myself slowly. It was really hard for me in school because I loved being social. I loved being out with people. I was always with girls in my sorority. I was always with my boyfriend and his friends and all of our friends. And so obviously drinking is involved with that. And I was just always out having a good time and running a million miles a minute, that I never really had time to come back and focus on myself and do things for myself. So I had not found those things that made me happy, that made me me. So I was just kind of running on what I thought it was. And so it was really kind of hard to, and this is totally something that could have been fixed. I could have not gone out as often as I did and not been with friends as often as I was, but I just didn't want to, which was also part of the problem, which I think is a beautiful thing about growing up, is like, okay, I can have time to myself. I can just sit and work and focus on myself, and find who I really, really am, which is kind of cheesy, but it's true. I think that's just when you become the happiest. And I'm still not fully there, but I think that's what your 20s is just finding that happiness and finding who you're supposed to be. And I think that's changing every single day. I think like old parts of me kind of fall off and new parts are still growing as I walk through life, and especially as I walk through my 20s. But yeah, I totally got off on a tangent. What was I talking about? College. So yeah, I mean, just to finish that story, it's like I thought I had to be this person in order to get rid of this old part of me, this like tender, loving, soft part of me, that would let people walk all over me, that would let people be mean to me. And that's not it. That's not what I had to do. And if anyone is in this situation of like trying to, I don't want to say fix some part of you, but kind of like mend or repair or work on some part of yourself, I think the best way to do it is just kind of getting down to the root of that problem. When I got down to the root of it, a lot of it came from like my childhood. Not even that I had a bad childhood, but just the way my personality was. I was very like happy-go-lucky. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to laugh. I didn't want to do any work. Very sensitive as a child, very sensitive now. So when people would even just slightly raise their voice at me or look at me a certain way, like it hurt me so deep down to the point where I was just sad and all I wanted to do was make it better. So with that, I became an aggressive people pleaser, which then kind of led to me not being able to stand up for myself because I didn't want to upset anyone, didn't want to confront anyone. And these are kind of things that I've worked out through therapy and stuff. They're not even horrible, but they are very prominent in my life. So they're things that I'm working on fixing. And so I had to kind of get down back to the root of that and kind of evaluate it, see it. And when those situations came up, understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling and understand why maybe being silent isn't always the best thing. Yelling at someone and getting in their face is never the best thing to do. And I wish I could have told college Skyland that, but it's okay. You have to learn somehow. And I guess that's the way I learned. I mean, not being reactive in situations and being able to take a step back and kind of game plan a little bit and say, okay, like this person said this about me. That really hurt my feelings. I'm kind of upset about it. I'm not going to yell at them. I'm not going to get in their face. I'm not going to say something bad back. But I'm also not going to be quiet because that's just going to hurt me more. Sometimes it's better to be silent because people just aren't worth your time sometimes. But the times when I know I need to say something, I appropriately can stand up for myself now. And I've worked through a lot of my aggressive issues and through a lot of my like polar opposite, like not aggressiveness issues. That's something that I've really been working on, is just communication with myself and with other people. And the more I work at it, the better I get at it. I'm still not the best. I still have my moments where I'm reactive and I freak out and I get mad. I still have my moments where I'm reactive and I back down and I'm silent. So it's just that balance and working on it daily. And I think that I'm getting there. And I hope that if you are, kind of going through the same thing, probably not with the same issue, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but if you're really kind of working on yourself and reflecting on, things that maybe aren't so great and maybe do need some attention. And so I hope that if you are, kind of looking at yourself and finding those parts that, need a little extra love, that you're gentle with yourself, that you're patient, because it is such a journey. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not easy, but it's very doable. And you just have to know that you're doing it for yourself and out of love for yourself. And I think it all comes back to balance and knowing that, it's not, your life isn't always going to be Pilates at 5 a.m., a green juice at 7 a.m., the perfect 8-hour workday, and then another Pilates class and a face mask before bed. It's not always going to be this like dream routine or this dream life. There are days that are going to feel like it, and I sure as hell have had those days, and there are days that are going to feel like you're never going to wake up the next morning, that you're never going to get through it. And I sure as hell have had those days too. It's all about finding that balance. I like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I feel balanced through my routines. Coming back to a solid grounding routine every day really helps me, because no matter the kind of day I have, I know I'm going to be able to go have a 30-minute flow in my garage or on the balcony or wherever I'm working out in my Pilates studio whenever it opens again. And I know that I'm going to be able to eat my dinner and, meditate and read a book that's going to make me feel good and wake up the next morning and try again. So balance and routines and just doing the things day after day that make me happy, because there are a lot of things that happen to us that we have no control of. There are a lot of things that just simply are completely out of our control, really shitty things. And, we can, one, control how we react to them, control how we kind of take them in, and then two, we can control how we recover from them. That's the biggest thing. After a really crappy day at work where I'm just upset, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I know that I can't really fix, the past 8 hours of my workday, or sometimes like 12 hours of my workday. But I know that I can do things after that will kind of take that load off, that'll kind of relax me and relax my mind and let myself know that it's okay to have those days. And yeah, I don't know if any of that just made sense. I really hope it did. But I guess all I'm trying to say is find your balance in life, find your balance, especially in your 20s. I feel like I always have to come back to talking about your 20s because this is the Lost in Your 20s podcast. But I think a big part of your 20s is, like I said, finding yourself, finding who you're supposed to be, and just finding the balance in life. And that is something I'm working on day after day after day. And I am 100% not claiming victory on it at all, because I fail at it a lot. I fail at it when I go out with friends sometimes and I have like 4 too many tequila shots and I'm like, damn it, Skyland, balance. And I fail at it on the days where I am my complete introverted self, where I don't text anyone back, where I don't even leave my bedroom, and I just don't do anything all day. And I'm like, damn it, Skyland, balance. It's just, you gotta find your balance. Part of finding balance is having those days, and then, having days that are right in between the two, and hitting the jackpot with some days. At the end of the day, life is beautiful. We're lucky to wake up and have another day, regardless of the type of day it is. So I never take that for granted, and I hope you don't either. I saw something actually on, I think it was on Ed Milet. I love that man. He is so smart and so motivating. And I think I saw something, I want to say this morning or yesterday morning on his Instagram, and it was a guest speaker. And I can't remember the guest speaker's name, but if you go on his Instagram, you'll be able to find it. And he said, if someone offered you $1 million, would you take it? Yes, 100%. You would be excited. If someone just said, hey, here's $1 million, you want it? You'd be like, dude, yeah, 100%. Yeah, give it to me. Yes. Like really, really excited, really pumped about it. And then if someone said, okay, I'll give you $1 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow, and you can't wake up the next day. You can't wake up the next day. That's it. Would you take it? No, definitely not. So why don't we wake up every morning with that same joy and that same excitement to have another day? Because another day is more valuable than $1 million. Another day is more valuable than anything in this entire world. So why aren't we every morning when we open our eyes grateful and excited and happy to just have another day under our belts? And that really sat with me, and I think about it every morning when I wake up now. It's one of those things that I just cannot get out of my head. And I say every morning, I literally just watched it like 2 days ago, but it has stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it very constantly. And it's true. We are so lucky to wake up, to open our eyes every single morning. And it's something that is so easy to take for granted. I know I take it for granted when my alarm clock hits and I'm like, hell no. I want to close my eyes. I want to go back to sleep. Today sucks. It hasn't even started and I just don't want to wake up. I've had those mornings. Where the morning are the days that are just bad days, and I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm like, why is this happening to me? But at the end of the day, I'm lucky enough to just have even had a day. I'm lucky enough to have a bad day because it means that I'm alive, that I'm breathing, and that I was given another shot to live. Take that as you will. It stuck with me. I think it's beautiful, and I think it is absolutely the way to live life, because you just wake up every day grateful and happy and just full of all the gratitude in the world because you get another shot at life. That is it for today's episode. Find your happiness, find your balance. Don't yell at people at parties, and be grateful when you open your eyes tomorrow morning. Thank you guys so much for watching the Lost in Your 20s podcast. I will see you next time. Bye.